All right, everybody. Welcome back to the aftermath of the Orange Crush podcast. Clemson falls 34-21 to Syracuse. They got their teeth kicked in. And today felt like a pretty seismic shift in where Clemson football is heading after a month's worth of results or 4 weeks worth of results for football. This is who Clemson is. As you had put in your column, David, they're 8-7 in their last 15 P4 games. The words that come to mind: average, mediocre. Clemson's no longer the title contender of old, and Swinney was pushing Tuesday about the success of this program and where it could go. Well, right now, it's potentially headed off the rails. And after Fran Brown came in last year and gave Clemson a ticket to the college football playoff, as Kelly Gramlich so eloquently put, he came to collect. And Clemson got their teeth kicked in today. David, we'll start with you and your thoughts. Where does Clemson go from here?
Yeah, I don't think there's an easy answer for it. And just to let you know how it feels around Clemson right now, we've had to restart this podcast because I forgot to silence my phone, and the text messages were going nuts as former players and fans and IPTAY donors and everybody just continues to blow me up. 89 text messages alone in the third quarter. Anyway, that's the way it is right now. And, there's no one easy answer. I just told you I was reading the message boards, and it's like, oh, as soon as K Klubnik's gone, it'll be fixed. Oh, as soon as Garrett Riley's gone, it'll be fixed. Oh, as soon as this person's gone, it'll be fixed. Oh, they need to do this and get into the portal more. It's a lot of things. There is a disconnect in this program right now. I cannot put my finger exactly where it is. This is not going to get fixed in a hurry. It's not going to get fixed by December. And there is more than one issue, more an issue than just the quarterback right now. There are a lot of issues. It is coaching. It is effort. It is scheme. It is talent in places. There's a lot wrong.
I think starting sort of in where you kind of allude to, there is no easy answer where it feels like in the last couple of years, moves that have been made, whether it was adding Matt Luke, good coach, adding Tom Allen from Penn State. That team was in the semifinals last year. It's putting duct tape over a car. You've seen them across the highway. All of us have probably seen that one car that has duct tape plastered all over it. And it's one of those things where, look, man, you just got to let this car go to rest. It's time to get a new one. This season feels like that one where you can't just easily fix it, or you can't take water out of a sinking ship. You just got to let the ship sink and see where it goes and how you can kind of reevaluate. I think the term rebuild might be appropriate now, David, for a program that has been kind of treading on this line of just good enough to maybe sneak into the playoffs. That's not the case right now. It's a 1-3 football team. It's a group that's searching for answers. Sammy Brown said maybe 4 or 5 times in his post-game presser, we'll be all right. But there is really no precedent to be set here. This is new territory, as the ESPN broadcast put, new territory for Dabo Swinney. And where they go from here, I don't think it's a simple fix, as you alluded to. There's a lot of issues, and we'll certainly get into all of them. I'm looking right now at the final score. 2 weeks from now, I know we're looking ahead. It was already going to be nuts, but a 2-2 UNC team that's been blasted by P4 opponents and Clemson that's reeling at 1-3, that's going to be something else.
Yeah, and I tell you one thing that I want to watch as we kind of go through this next week is, while players cannot enter the transfer portal, that's only if your coach has been fired. I wonder, are there any players on Clemson's team that are like, okay, 4 games in, we can still redshirt and call it quits and decide to go somewhere else? We'll see how it feels in that locker room. Are there any of those players maybe who aren't getting playing time who are like, I'm not going to play anyway, so I'm going to bow out? We're going to look and see exactly where the locker room is, where the coaching is. I went through it in kind of my post game. I call it a dirge, a funeral song, where this program is, and maybe at UNC you change it up a little bit. Good God, what is so wrong with that? What would be so wrong about letting Tristan Smith play? What would be so wrong about letting Jeremiah Alexander play? And look, I'm not taking anything away from Adam Randall. That dude is a dog. He is somebody who is playing hard, deserves to start at running back, deserves all of his carries. But again, another day where it's either Randall or Klubnik or Tyler Brown on some kind of end around getting all of the carries. What's it going to hurt to let Gideon Davidson or David Eziomime or somebody have 5 carries? Is it going to kill you? There are guys probably out there that want to play. I was talking to Nikki on the way home. My starting defensive line at North Carolina, based on effort, it's going to be Will Helt and Jaheim Lawson at ends, and DeMonte Capehart and Stephon Green at defensive tackle. My starters at linebacker, give me Jeremiah Alexander and Sammy Brown, and throw a little bit of maybe Jamal Anderson in there too. Effort. That's what I like to see. Give me the kid Hannafin in the secondary, who got fussed at by Dabo today for a, kind of a silly 15-yard penalty, but at least he hit somebody. Hey, go over there and grab TJ Parker by the ears and say, hey, this is how you hit somebody, whether it's late or not. Change it up. You go, where do you go from here? Well, if, you've said this before. I think you even said it last week. Definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over and expect the same results. Maybe do it a little bit different now.
I think you also wouldn't be hurting to make a change. And this is where the NIL factor of it, because I think if we lived in a world where college football players weren't being paid, I think Christopher Vezina is starting on Saturday against North Carolina. No doubt in my mind. You're 1-3, and your quarterback hasn't played well enough. And it's really puzzling where the last several weeks the offense hasn't gotten it done. And this week you have the yards to kind of show for it, but penalties. Clemson was penalized an insane amount of times. I believe they ended up finishing 8 penalties for 75 yards. Can't have that. Several drives were killed today, whether it was snap infractions. I think Linthicum got flagged twice for something. I don't know if that was just in the second half with the rain or something, but certainly something a senior lineman shouldn't be doing.
Snap infraction. Number 53 on the offense. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Yeah, that referee had an accent to him for sure. But yeah, I said it after the Georgia Tech game that Clemson wouldn't hurt to give 17 a shot. And I think when you're talking about effort, you're also looking to next year, because 2025, regardless of how this team finishes, there's no 12-team playoff that you sneak into. Yeah, you could maybe go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, but at the end of the day, that's not what Clemson's necessarily aiming for. You're trying to get data now for how you build this thing back up. And
well, because it's not going to start at LSU next year.
No,
it's not going to be 2. He's going to be gone.
I think you get your quarterback. Obviously, we have the data of, okay, Tate Reynolds is coming in, but you and I both think, well, he's gifted. He's not going to be ready for a game like LSU. You could get Vezina. And it's crazy we're having this conversation. It's crazy. But if you could get 8 games of Christopher Vezina and be able to make a determination on whether he's your guy, you'll have statistical data, you'll have film. It's not 4 games. Like there's some NFL rookies that start maybe 4 games at the end of the season. They're thrown in the white flag, but that's not enough. And sometimes the results differ in year 2 because that's his 5th start, 6th start, 7th start. Vezina could get 8 starts, potentially 9 with a bowl game, and gather data. Now I know that's tough, and Klubnik's your top dollar quarterback, but at this point something's got to give, and you got to think about where this team's headed future-wise. I don't think the simple solution is looking at it, oh man, if we could have Klubnik lead the way for 8 more games and they go 8-4, that's great. That's really great for morale, but I'm looking towards 2026 now, and I think Clemson fans would feel a lot better if Christopher Vezina is your guy, that he's going to get tested against Florida State. He's going to have to go on the road against Boston College and North Carolina. At least there's going to be games. It won't be anything like LSU to open the season, but at least there's going to be data to be able to pull from.
Well, but that's pie in the sky stuff. Dabo's not going to do that, not to a $3.4 million player. He even said tonight that Cade played his butt off, threw for 363. That's what he sees, and that's what you're going to get up at North Carolina. You're going to get Cade Klubnik, and he's going to continue to get starts. Remember, Dabo was very loyal to DJ Uiagalelei right up until the last moment, and maybe it is that they don't trust Vezina. Maybe they've seen enough, in practice to say, we don't trust this guy. We don't trust Pierman enough. We don't, trust Hunter Helms enough, even though he kind of brought him back for this. Dabo's going to keep throwing 2 out there. There was a time there kind of in that 4th quarter where we wondered, would we see Vezina? Cade just all of a sudden got happy feet, started overthrowing wide receivers, and it just didn't look good. And, another thing about this is, one of the guys who works for TigerNet, Tony, was like less talky from some of these guys. And Cade mentioned after the game, every time we would start to get a little bit of a, momentum going, Syracuse would have an injury. And I don't know if they want to own that or not. Hey, don't blame that. Don't pull that. No, Syracuse is not out there missing open wide receivers. Syracuse is not throwing it over the head of wide receivers. Syracuse is not out there dropping passes, missing blocks, getting penalties. Tristan Lee looked like he was toast out there. Syracuse's injuries weren't missing tackles. getting swallowed up by blocks. And Brandon Rink said it. Syracuse bullied Clemson. That's effort and coaching again. And it's just this big disconnect, and it's not going to get fixed in the bye week.
Let's talk on the defensive side for a bit here. You talk about Syracuse bullies Clemson. They come into Death Valley. They walk into the trap and take over the trap. And for a team that on paper, and again, this stats mean one thing, the product on the field means another. It's a team that struggled against Tennessee, put some points up, but at the end, Tennessee had control. Struggled to face UConn. Went viral that Fran Brown was doing sprints. That the team doing sprints after an overtime win over the Huskies. And then Colgate put up a nice fight, put up 24 points against the Orange up in New York. And for Clemson, you felt like the game plan, Syracuse's offensive identity was through Steve Angeli, who really hope he's okay. It didn't look great on that non-contact injury. Syracuse handed off the ball. That first drive, that was 5 straight runs. They knew exactly where they wanted to attack. They knew exactly what weaknesses to pull on Clemson's defense. They spread the ball out when they wanted to, but they dictated that on the air. They set it up through the ground game, knew exactly what they wanted to do with the football. It felt like Fran Brown came in and said, now I know he said that Clemson's defensive line is really nice, but I felt like he was telling us without the coach speak with how they were running that offense to start the game. Before we get back to this video, we'd like to thank the title sponsor for this podcast, Newton, Scott and Associates. This team is headlined by Jeff Scott, former Clemson assistant coach and 2-time national champion, as well as Eric Newton, a longtime local and trusted real estate partner. These two are teaming up to provide a first-class experience for all Clemson fans. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or build in the upstate area of South Carolina, you can trust Newton, Scott and Associates. Choose the same team that Clemson coaches are selecting when they're looking to buy, sell, or build, all the way from Tigertown to Lake Kiowee. For more information, you can find them at newtonscottsc.com or by calling the number 864-722-9062. That's 864-722-9062. Now, let's get back to the video.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be bullied by that team that managed just 44 rushing yards against UConn, 1.9 yards per carry. They come in today and 4.1 yards per carry, 4.7 if you take away the sacks, which in pro football they do, but in college football a sack is counted as a negative rush. Shouldn't. It's a stupid stat, but 4.7 against Clemson's defensive line, who just keeps getting blown out. And I'm going to write, and I actually wrote this in an earlier story, I'm going to write a column this week that says I feel sorry for Will Helt because he came from a Purdue team that won 1 or 2 games last year. He wanted to be part of a winner, and he is out there putting it all on the line while his defensive line mates loaf around. And, I asked Dabo about this week, was he happy with the effort? Because it looks like some of those guys who have NIL checks are just not putting in the effort. TJ Parker was called out on Twitter by somebody who posted a lot of his loafing plays. And Dabo just smiled like he does. And, we've got loafing and, they'll pay the price. And, maybe the ultimate price is sitting. And again, I don't know if they just feel like there's nobody behind them or if they can't do that to guys who make NIL. I don't know. I even think at times strength and conditioning is a little bit of a problem with this team. I just think that there are a lot of issues. And, again, not going to get fixed right away. And I know people are like, ask the hard questions. And, we've asked the hard questions, and Dabo won't give straight answers because it's not what coaches do. People want us to go in there and go, hey, why would you fire Garrett Riley? Come on, it's not gonna happen. You want to go in there and do that, but you can't go in there and ask those kinds of questions. And we're going to keep probing and we're going to keep asking the hard questions and trying to see if we can figure out what's going on. And just so everybody knows, you can hear it on the podcast. We're not going to talk to Dabo till Monday evening around 5. Yeah, somewhere in there. So next time we'll talk to Dabo, he will have watched the film. And then Tuesday we get Garrett Riley. Boy, that's going to be fun and interesting. And some players, and that will be our only interview session during the open date. So it's going to be an interesting week in Clemson until we get back for Tuesday interviews in 9 or 10 days.
Yeah, interesting is probably the right word to put it. I think one final word, David, the reaction to Swinney's Saturday presser tonight. It's been a few hours since he spoke, but it felt like a very solemn funeral-esque experience where Tuesday it was everything. Everything came into that. And you and I were both there. we were texting on the channel about how I think epic's the right word, not in the sense of, man, that was positive, but it's just one of those epic rants that you don't get to see every now and then. And it felt like he was throwing everything at the kitchen sink to try to flip a switch. And the ESPN caught the post-game emotion from Swinney. It really felt like today was the death of something. Figure out what that will be down the road, but the Clemson of old is gone. And I think that today was kind of that final nail in the coffin, that it's just not the same program that I think we probably expected a potential resurgence based off what we got on paper in the offseason. And we talked about on this very podcast that, and Kate Klumnick said today, we got all the ingredients, we're just not baking a cake. And Clemson on paper had all the ingredients. Whatever coming out of the oven is very good. It's giving people food poisoning. And so as we reflect into the bye week and Bill Belichick and UNC in 2 weeks, it's going to be quite the stretch, David. So do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up this quick aftermath?
I do. And maybe there is one fix that can kind of help things now. But somebody who has been close to the program, who has been over there in that building quite a bit, texted me as I was walking out of the press box to say, less is more. And basically to say anything and everything that doesn't go to football or winning football games needs to go by the wayside for now. There's just too much other stuff going on. And that took me back to statements made by Vanderbilt coach Clark Lee last week before the South Carolina game, where he said, I came into the program and I'm just going to recruit great kids and I'm going to create great husbands and fathers. And, if we can win football games and graduate players, happy to do it. But now it has changed. It is a professional sport because players are getting paid. And he said, I changed everything and I made it to where everything that we do has to contribute to winning football games. I have to go get players that are going to help me win football games. Translation, I'm going to go get a bunch of dogs. And he's done it.
That he has. And
that's all I'll say is I'll leave it there.
Results speak for themselves, and we're going to dive into this further. Can't wait. We're going to have some fun guests, too. Talking to some people right now who want to hop on this podcast. They want their turn to talk about this program with me and Hoodie. Can't wait. Guys, thank you as always for tuning in. Subscribe for more. God bless y'all. If you made the trip to Clemson and you're driving home, drive home safe. Have a good one.